What happens next in the? I don't understand the sketch. I don't think I.
What do you mean? It's Edward Scissorhands.
I don't know what that means.
Well, we put mugs on everything.
Yeah, I know. I have the mugs on the hands.
Just like the movie.
But where does the sketch go from there? I don't understand it. Is it me? I'm not. I appreciate that you guys put on the work. What does he do? This is what we call a disaster start because my headphones weren't working. Hold on, so we have to fix something really quick. But I'm glad to be with you. You're going to see some shuffling around because I need to mirror my iPad so these guys can see what's going on here. Yakuza, you got it?
They're working on it.
Yeah. All right. Our last show, by the way, before the break, because tomorrow we have a Thanksgiving special. It's changed my mind.
About Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's not exactly like Happy Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown. It's it's about there are only two genders. Changed my mind.
Ah, okay. A little bit more information on that.
There are only two genders. Do we got it working? Okay, there we go. All right, you guys can see? Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect.
I can see this whole time.
Everyone can see.
You.
Mine's a little Edward Scissorhands right now, cabinet of Dr. Caligari. You know what it is Yakuza did a great job with the Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
But he messed everything up in the studio.
That's true. You pay a price.
I'm sorry.
So glad to be with you. We're going to be talking about a lot here today. We'll be talking about the Iranian World Cup protest. Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with the virtue signaling from all of the other gay Europeans who wanted to wear their gay bands, but then when is it FIFA?
FIFA guys. Yeah.
FIFA said you can't wear the gay armbands. This is in Qatar. They kill gays. They're like, that's okay. We didn't want to wear those armbands anyway.
Armbands? What armbands?
What armbands? You know what we should do is we should make the gays wear the armbands. They said.
See if they can fly.
Yeah. Don't armband me. And then we'll be talking about. Of course, we have Biden pardoned some Thanksgiving turkeys, which is fun. Also, what's really happening. Here's the theme today. Okay, I've talked about this quite a bit in the past. Hold on, so I'm getting an echo. No? Okay.
Yeah.
Everything's just a little bit screwy today. It's okay. It's not okay, but it's okay, but it's not okay, but it's okay. The media, people talk about the election stuff going on, and we will probably have Carrie Lake on at some point here between Thanksgiving and the New Year. Looks like there's some stuff actually that's going to happen in Arizona. We want to wait until we get some confirmation on developments. But before we get to any of that, what's most important is understanding that the media does enough. That the media interferes with elections enough. And you need to try and preempt that. An ounce of prevention is worth 10,000 pounds of cure. Is that what it is?
Something like
10,000 pounds of defense is what they say in sports. Mm-hmm. So to give you an idea, remember that missile you heard about? The Russian missile in Poland? Turns out that was complete total horse crap. Didn't happen. And that came from the AP, which is the single most reliable news wire. It's what all news sources use for their daily updates. And then it was reported as though it was legit. This same AP, by the way, who said that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation, which would have affected the outcome of the election. There's no doubt about that. And now it was confirmed by CBS. So that's enough. And so sometimes when people ask, hey, what do you guys do? Well, I'm not running for office. No one here is running for office. But counterbalancing that in the media, that to me, everything is downstream or upstream, whichever term you use. I still don't fully understand the colloquialism. Because you could be upstream, you could be downstream. You know what? Comment below. Is it everything is upstream or everything is downstream? What do you think it is? Everything is downstream from...
Well, if you pee in the river, is it going upstream?
Is everything upstream from culture or is everying downstream?
I hope it's going downstream.
Is it upstream or is it downstream?
Drinking water.
Somebody let us know.
The point is in the hierarchy... That wasn't a bad Tom Hanks.
Wasn't bad.
No. It's impressive.
Someone help Gerald! Gerald's not funny! Help him! He's not funny!
I think you want it to go with the current.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want your pee to go a different way than the current.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
it can't.
But I did watch
You don't
Survivor
know
Man,
that.
and I know that if you put the bottle of water underneath some rocks with running water, it acts like a natural filter.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't fix the E. coli though. I still no. Turns out you shouldn't use a dirty sock as a filter.
No.
I learned it the hard way. So there, we have that comment. And let me ask you this too: what do you think is the dumbest virtue signaling that's going on? The World Cup is just absolutely perfect because it's soccer and it's gay enough, but it turns out it's not gay enough. And the Iranians are not happy about a lot either. But think about this for a
Heads are
second.
gonna roll.
The Poland, right? Remember Poland? We covered it
Yeah.
here, even on this show. The missile in Poland, right? I think Donald Trump Jr. talked about it.
Yeah.
Why would they lie about that? Well, it turns out that it was wrong. There was no vetting, and the retraction doesn't trend. The trend is already done. For 10 hours, #1 trend all over social media. That could set off World War III. Very big difference between Poland when you're talking about a NATO ally.
Yeah.
Very big difference. We've talked about that on this show. If something happens with Poland, shit's about to pop off. Turns out it was false. Have you heard of the retraction? Have you heard now about the Hunter Biden laptop being 100% legitimate? These changes affect elections. These changes affect world governments. And they are being affected by people who hate you. They hate everything about you. So that's what we're going to get into today. And that and more Ticketmaster Taylor Swift because it's a gay theme. How are you, Gerald A?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing okay, thank you.
You got less sleep last night, but you feel more rested today. How does
I
that
do.
work?
Well, I had some wins because of you yesterday, some personal wins.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah.
He has very tender hands.
Yes, he does. They're soft.
He's a very considerate lover,
He is.
I am not.
but he takes the reins when he needs to.
You know he wears the pants or doesn't.
Right. I mean, he wears the half pants.
Yes.
The short pants.
Yes.
The knickers. Knickers.
K with a K.
All right.
Hey.
So before we get to any of that, by the way, I don't know if you know this, research has shown... Oh, sorry. Dave Landau is here. Fastest man on his feet. Dave Landau, how are you?
Ahoy, good. How about you?
I'm okay. I feel better today.
Yeah?
I feel a little bit better today.
Nice.
I assume it's because I ate crap last night. Do you ever find you feel better after like a couple of drinks and you eat crap and the next day you feel better?
You mean like the Cheesecake Factory I ate at 10 p.m.?
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, what's so sad about that is I know you didn't go to Cheesecake Factory, so
Nope.
you Uber Eats Cheesecake Factory?
It was DoorDash.
It was-
Which means
Wait,
it
wait,
was
wait.
$4,000.
Yes. Did the guy delivering it just look at you with
It's like-
judgment in his
Yeah,
eyes?
it's like, here's your pie. And then he flicked one of my tits.
He's like, enjoy it. Tons of fun.
It was very rude.
Did it hurt enough for you to go, "Boo!"
Yeah, he went, and he went, oh, what
Hold
is
on,
that
really-
enchanting sound?
I've heard you before. I love your shirt, by the way. Show it.
Oh, yeah.
Shirt. That is one of my favorite.
hallelujah. Where's the Tylenol?
That's one of my favorite quotes from that movie.
Oh, I thought it was Joe Biden on that shirt. Okay,
It is.
Look, we've started
We
way too
sell
late.
this shirt.
Let me get right into it here. Research has shown that testosterone levels in men have dropped nearly 25% over the last quarter of a century.
Really?
I blame BPA plastic. Also, I blame the estrogen injections directly into men.
Yeah.
It's all estrogen injections these days, kids. So 25% over the last quarter century. And here's something that you may not have known. This guy is responsible for 24% of it.
Totally sustainable bug burgers in 10 minutes. Start by grabbing some air-dried bugs on Amazon. These grasshoppers cost me just £12 and provide me with all the protein I need for the week without destroying the planet. Get the bugs into a bowl and break them down. Blend them into a powder. This is our protein base. Next, cook a handful of rice in simmering water. While that's cooking, add some seed oil to the bugs and stir. Then some flour, sustainable is best. Then we add our bug mix to the rice. Give that a second to blend. Boom, bug burgers. Use your hands to shape the patty, then just fry until golden brown. Beautiful. Now cut some garnish and look at that.
It's weird when we're saying the same thing. Like, look at that. And we're going, look at that.
I like my medium rare.
Yes, yes.
Was that like a 2-ounce patty?
I'm more, yeah, exactly. That entire bag would not suffice. For crying out loud, Dave, I mean, he would put that on top of his cheesecake. You'd put that
I
on
would.
top of his chicken piccata.
I would, and then I would go, I don't want this.
Yes, exactly.
It's
Tastes like
gross.
grasshoppers.
Put it
Thank
off
you.
to the side.
If it's not escargot, I'm not eating bugs.
And here's the thing. I get it. If you want to eat bugs, fine, whatever. Look, you do you. But the problem is that they want you all to eat bugs. The problem is that you're going to get government subsidies for bugs. The problem is that it's going to be just like the USDA. I don't know if you know this. McDonald's used beef tallow in their fries. Turns out that's better for you than hydrogenated vegetable oil.
Who knew?
They switched over because of the neo-environmentalist vegan, back then it wasn't a thing, vegetarian lobby before it became trendy. And now you end end up with all of these trans fats, and it's worse for you. Here's something else. Do we really think that we know how this is going to end up? I mean, you do understand that bugs are a part of the ecosystem, right? I get it. They're farming grasshoppers now, and then, of course, in 5 years, you're going to have someone asking for wild-caught grasshopper.
But free-range grasshopper.
Yes.
You don't think they have anything to do with the topsoil, bugs? You don't think they have anything to do with the ecosystem? Keep in mind, by the way, krill was a perfect example of this. You know krill oil? It was basically used as pet food filler. Right? And it was a sustainable alternative to fish oil. They were saying, because it's plentiful, it's the most renewable resource in the world. Now there's worry about a threat to the krill population. How much do you want to bet that that's going to happen with grasshoppers? And you can think, is that beyond beyond bullshit? I don't
know what it is, but I do know that I always heard the rumor of Dave Thomas using mealworms. I don't know if it's true.
Well, whatever. It tasted good.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care at all. He seemed to master the bug.
Yeah. The art.
The bug and beef mashup.
Yeah. What bothered me about him was that I don't think his daughter was at the age of consent when he put her on in her most unflattering light on every single Wendy's sign.
No. She was also, as she got older, a little. She ate a lot of Wendy's.
Yeah, she ate a lot of Wendy's.
Yeah, and you're like.
But the point is, he kind of set her up for failure with that
But
one.
he learned from the Colonel.
Yes,
did you know that?
He did. Yeah,
That's why.
he did.
Because the old Colonel's so good.
One of the herbs and spices.
Yep.
Mealworms.
Yep.
Can't confirm that.
Remember we hear all those urban legends as kids. You know, comment below the urban. What was the other urban legend that we used to hear? Remember they put stuff in the McDonald's patty to keep you from throwing up.
Yes.
Remember they used to say
one.
that.
Yep.
What's the term in English? In French, it was an anti-vomissant, like an anti. What's the term for something? Yeah, but I don't know the actual term in English.
For, but that's the total opposite. That makes you vomit if you drink alcohol. Never mind.
Oh,
I've been court ordered to do too many things to know what you're talking about.
we have Epicock here for sketches that we wanted to do, and our half-Asian lawyer Bill told us no, that would actually be vandalism. Don't you remember the Epicock with the DMV sketch that we wanted to do?
No.
Oh, we'll talk about it on Mug Club.
Okay, all right.
Hold on, let me write this down. I'll write this down as we get to Gerald Knows Sports.
Woo.
What?
Wide open, he scores!
How do you spell Epicock?
I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
It'll be used against me at a later date.
I believe that's at the new Disney Plus.
Yes, exactly. They brought back Iger.
They did.
I know. Well,
Bobby
that's what
Boy.
happens when you lose all your money.
Yeah.
Old Bob
They
Epicock
also
Iger.
picked Tim Allen when they were like, "We don't need you." Then Buzz Lightyear tanks, and they're like, "We're sorry about that."
Yeah, can you do a Santa Claus series? He's like, you didn't get enough with Santa Claus 3?
Oh boy.
By the way, IPECAC.
IPECAC. I was way off. I pretty much I did a hooked on phonics version, and it could also just be a porno password. All right, so Gerald
Should've
knows
put it in your talk, boy. Could remind you later.
Yeah.
$5,000 this goes for now.
On eBay.
Yeah.
This is an authentic talk boy.
That's the silver tuna, baby.
The silver
All right,
tuna tonight.
so-
All right, Gerald, you know
I
sports.
do, and you don't consider this a sport, so I appreciate you allowing this to happen.
I consider it a
FIFA
sport. I also consider it an embarrassment. Two things can be true.
That is true. FIFA, so World Cup started, and things got a little
Say
bit
it again.
interesting.
FIFA?
FIFA World Cup.
Oh, that's verbal epicock for me.
It is. It's billions of dollars, though, right? So prior to the opening match at the World Cup, Iran played England, and they actually did a little bit of protesting.
Oh, yeah, the Iranians
refused to sing their own national anthem.
Good for them.
They're all thinking of being beheaded when they go home.
Yeah. Seems like a bad idea.
Better than boarding Flight 93.
Yep.
I've made a huge mistake.
Yeah, they're all off at work from the box cutter
looking around
factory.
like, is everybody else doing it?
Hey, it looks like hijacker Andrew Tate.
They were all murdered.
Right.
Well, and here's the thing: we're joking, of course, but
No,
that
really.
actually takes balls for them to do that.
Yes, it does.
Because they are protesting the unjust murder. We'll get to that in a second.
Right, of the protesters.
Right, of the protesters. It takes a little bit more than the armband, right? It takes actual balls to do what they're doing.
A little bit more.
A little bit more. Unfortunately, though, you should note, this is the problem. Players don't have all that much power, right? It's the people in charge. It's the suits, and you've heard me talk about that. even sometimes on the conservative side, not just when we're talking about the political establishment, but even when you're talking about the media on the left and on the right, the suits aren't necessarily lined up with you. The suits in the soccer league are not lined up with the players. And so the protest fell on deaf ears because FIFA brought in someone to pinch hit and sing the national anthem anyway.
That's beautiful.
Gerald, give us an update here, though.
So, nearly 400 Iranians have been killed for protesting the death of 22-year-old Masha Amini. Right, and so we've seen this happening all over the world. People are protesting this. Now, people are actually being killed, but it goes a little bit further than that. You're like, oh, okay, so people are being killed in the streets. That's bad enough. Well, when Parliament gets together, like the Iranian Parliament did, and basically says, yes, you need to execute the protesters, that's pretty bad. That's not just like the Ayatollah being crazy and going out and murdering people. That's all of Parliament being like, yeah, we totally, they should be killed.
And can I make a point there? Because I was raised in Canada where we have a parliamentary system. For all this talk about democracy dies in darkness, well, if you understand what a parliamentary system is, there still is a component of democracy. Some people would say it's more democratic than really what we have as a constitutional republic. But it doesn't really matter if Parliament can still just order the execution of protesters. Hey, democracy can also be mob rule infringing on the rights of the minority.
Yeah. Well, in the United States of America needs to stand with the protesters more than just tweeting something out like AOC saying, we stand with you. That's fantastic. Okay. The president just needs to come out and say, hey, we stand with you guys. We're going to stand arm in arm with the protesters here. They're not doing that. That would give great comfort to these people because their life is on the line. So the captain of the Iranian soccer team, the football team, actually, Eshan Ajsafi, addressed the situation in this clip.
به نام خدای رنگین کمان سلام خدمت دوستان عزیز.
A language of romance.
تسلیت عرض میکنم خدمت همه خانواده داغدار ایران و اینو بدونن که ما کنارشون هستیم و باهاشون همدردیم.
So for those listening on audio, and by the way, please do consider if you're not on audio, well, actually, let me just take this moment to tell you, this is a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, okay? And we are on, of course, YouTube, but also Rumble. Nothing would make me happier. For those of you right now, you can go over and watch on Rumble. If you don't see us live on YouTube, without us telling you beforehand, we are still streaming live on Rumble and Mug Club. Go subscribe on Rumble. That way you don't have to keep checking in every single day. And, of course, audio, Spotify, Apple, there's exclusive stuff on audio. We're on all these different platforms because we're in the process of diversifying from the satanic pedophile cabal at YouTube. I'm joking. Now, this is what he said for people listening on audio. In the name of God, creator of rainbows, mustn't be afraid to aim a little higher, love. I want to say condolences to all of the grieving families in Iran. We want them to know we are with them and by their side and share their pain. And again, the problem with the suits is they co-opt it. Speaking of rainbows, FIFA decided to try and commandeer this and issue their own statement.
Well,
too much? Comment below.
Or just the right amount.
I think just right.
I think it's perfect.
I think it's baby bear.
It's all the spices and herbs working together.
All the mealworms fit to eat.
I don't want to fly home with any of them. So after his fight in Abu Dhabi, we talked about this. Benil Dariushi actually gave a similar speech, right? Except on a religious front. It wasn't just the protesting, but basically standing up to an authoritarian regime where the protest will actually cost you something. Not like in the United States where you can protest and you can light stuff on fire and they don't do anything to you. You can just say the wrong things in Iran and they can kill you, right? 400 people being killed by the parliament saying, yes, Justice Department, do that. Please kill more.
Democratically killed.
Yes, well, one might say.
Just like Bernie Sanders. Democratic socialism. And by the way, hey, please, if you're on YouTube right now, hit the like button. Not only if you stand with these people, obviously the people who are, I say these people because there's protesting protesters. So it's a little bit hard. It's like the metaverse of protesting. But also hit the like button if you just want to let Benil Dariush know that this guy deserves a title shot. And he is catching some flack for what he did in Abu Dhabi, saying, hey, there is truth in Jesus Christ. The guy's on an 8-fight win streak. He's an absolute monster in the cage. And his biggest problem is he's too nice. He doesn't talk trash.
Yeah, if he talked a little trash, he might stir up a little bit.
We'll have him here on an Ash Wednesday, even though he won't smoke.
That'd be great.
He's a solid fighter.
Yeah, I think he'll stir up more controversy just talking about Jesus, to be honest, especially with that.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's unfortunate.
At the same time that all of this happened, the FIFA, basically the captains of some of the English and other clubs around Europe decided that apparently protesting for LGBTQ AAIP, right, they couldn't fit it all on there, so they had to stop.
Right.
All those rights, they were going to wear an armband.
You could fit it on a Tess Holiday armband.
Because that's how you protest. Or an inconsequential armband for one person. Just the captain of the team wears that armband, by the way. So one guy running around with it. But FIFA actually said, no, you're not going to do that. And if you do, we'll give you a yellow card and give you a fine. And they're like, no, we're absolutely going to go ahead and do this. And that's in one day before. I'm not kidding. One day before. They're saying, we will absolutely do this. And then Harry Kane actually was one of the guys who was supposed to do it. I don't know. Did you already bring up? Yeah, Harry Kane looking tough right there with his one love.
Honestly, I just thought he was a soccer player.
And then they decided,
That's not their normal uniform?
No. So you know what a yellow card is? It's basically like
there'd be no way of knowing.
It's a heart with rainbows. It's cool.
Yeah.
They were going to give Harry Kane a yellow card to start the match, which means he can't foul anybody so egregiously that he gets another one. And he was like, well, that's just too much. I can't do that. I can't play into that, right? So according to Sky News, the One Love campaign was originally initiated by the Netherlands and aims to use football to promote inclusion and send a message against discrimination. You guys are gay enough. You don't need to wear an armband.
And then he immediately pulled it. He immediately pulled it. Look, this is the thing. Also, keep in mind, this is not. There are a couple of other layers to this story. 6,500 migrant workers died constructing these stadiums, facilities in Qatar. I'm willing to bet that some of them were indentured servants, just so people don't know. Yeah. More slaves on Earth right now than ever in recorded history. Over 40 million. We've talked about that in the past. You can do something about slavery now. When people talk about the evil history of America and slavery, and of course, slavery is a stain on our history. Make no mistake about that. Everyone here, right? Do we all agree anti-slavery? Dave, don't know. No joke. We're all anti-slavery. With Jokes on Mug Club. Yes, we're all anti-slavery.
I also have an uncle slavery.
It still, still happens. It still happens today. Yeah. And you're not willing to wear an armband? In the United States, they kneel for the anthem.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, the country who has liberated more slaves than any in the history of mankind. But they won't wear an armband because that might offend an emerging market, just like with the NBA. What happened with the Hong Kong protesters? What about Disney, for example? This is if they're going to remove the LGBTQ AAIP agenda content from Disney, like Lightyear, it's because Lightyear wasn't allowed in certain Asian markets. That's the issue. They go where the dollars are, and I will tell you this: it's ugly on all sides. I don't need companies to be conservative. I think a lot of companies that present themselves as conservatives, this is why we have very few sponsors on the show. A lot of companies out there that present themselves as right-wing are really just fleecing you. Not all of them. We have some great people we work with, of course, Walther, of course, Good Rancher, of course, Patriot Supply. If I'm missing any, of course, Clear, right?
Yeah.
We keep them very limited because we know these people, we know where they line up, and that's why we ask that you support them. If I put my stamp on it, it means that I am vouching for the integrity of the company. But you know what I'm fine with? Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts, their CEO said, we're not Starbucks, we're not political. And you know what they do as far as charity? They mostly do feeding the hungry. They do turkey drives. They do things like Big Brother programs. Good. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be right-wing. Just don't use your money to actively fight against the values of this country, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and this shows you their character, right? So these guys are protesting what they say is gross human rights violations by people who are gay, homosexual, or against them in Qatar, right? People who are gay and homosexual. And they're saying, this is so important that we have to end it. One, I noticed that you showed up. You're playing, aren't you? You had a choice to go to the World Cup or not. So, yeah, apparently it didn't offend you. Their deaths didn't offend you so much that you couldn't go there and play. And two, when any resistance came your way, you simply said, okay. That doesn't call that. You don't have these values. You do it when it's convenient and you virtue signal. The Iranian protesters, by not singing that national anthem, could die. These guys don't believe what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're just doing it because everybody says you should and it's popular and you can put it on Instagram and look tough for a soccer player, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And then you fold.
Yeah, these guys could get beheaded.
Yeah.
And you guys could maybe be called homophobic or not an ally on Twitter.
Exactly. This is how you judge. Look, the mettle of a man is judged by, first off, what does he do when no one's looking? when there's no reward for doing the right thing, but he's doing it for the right thing's sake. And what do they do when there is something on the line, where they stand to lose something? And invariably, with Hollywood, and by the way, let's be honest, professional sports leagues, these are entertainment organizations.
For sure.
Invariably, when push comes to shove and it comes time to actually take a stand with consequences, they slink out. They slink out.
Well, they bend so many different ways. It's just pathetic at this point. Like, how do you know what anybody believes?
Well, but soccer players, lots of practice with the bending.
But we were talking about that with Disney. But same with like Tim Allen, where it's like, okay, well, we need you back now. Sorry, buzz bombed, so we apologize. Oh, let's get the old president back. Let's do that. Like, they don't care.
I really wish that Tim Allen would have told them to go screw themselves.
Yep.
He should have.
He should have said, you didn't want me then, you don't get me now. I love it when he does that sound.
I know.
This has been Gerald No Sports.
Wide open, he scores!
All right. This is an American tradition, one that I don't fully understand. I get the history. I still don't get it. Joe Biden, former Vice President Biden, took part in the tradition. You know, it's an annual tradition where you pardon a Thanksgiving turkey.
They had dirt on the Clintons.
Yes. No, he wouldn't have pardoned them.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, he would have excelled. He would have put them through a wood chipper.
They killed the turkey.
You think they're pardoned.
It just wakes up nailed into its coop. with a metal water dish over it in the middle of the sun so they can think about what they've done.
He unpardons the turkeys.
Yes. So he pardoned some turkeys on Thanksgiving, and one of them was named Chocolate, one of them was named Chip. Cute.
Really?
Yes. Ignore inflation, by the way. And of course, he said a bunch of dumb things, which brings us to This Week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Votes are in. They've been counted and verified. There's no ballot stuffing. There's no foul play. The only red wave this season is going to be a German Shepherd commander knocks over the cranberry sauce on our table. How many turkeys you got down there you raising?
Circle S Ranch grows about 9.5 million turkeys a year.
God love you. 9.5 million turkeys. I tell you what, that's like some of the countries I've been to. Imagine, this has to be boring for these kids to stand up here. You're allowed to do anything you want, including go steal a pumpkin if you want. Anything you want to do.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Do you Mexicans want to go steal a pumpkin? You probably want to go in the house and take some silverware.
Yeah. Take the finest china. Some of them have gold-plated handles.
Yeah.
You guys need a nap?
Yeah. I need a nap.
Siesta.
Abe Lincoln used a spoon in there. Go steal it.
I really like how industrious you people are. I don't know what you do with the Santas, though.
Oh, yeah. Smash a pumpkin.
Surprise me.
You want to climb the White House wall and enter illegally?
Yeah, go steal a pumpkin? Why does he assume that? Does he not? It's just like, you look like ethnicity. You got a little bit of ethnicity in you. There's still a pumpkin.
This turkey looks like Mitch McConnell's.
Yes.
It's impractical.
Silly neck. Can I punch it? Can I watch me punch it?
It looks like Mitch McConnell, and then I got can you bring up just a freeze frame of that? Why is Gerard Depardieu helping him pardon a turkey?
Let's see.
The turkey is being pardoned by bogus.
It's just nice to see that he's no longer Me Too'd.
Yes.
Yes. He's back.
I mean, honestly, can you really Me Too a Frenchman?
No, that's what I didn't understand.
All right.
Depardieu.
This brings us to the Thanksgiving Day parade. This is happening. Again, it's a lot of fun. We're going into Thanksgiving. You guys can comment below what you're most thankful for because, it's a cliche. I'm thankful for you guys.
Aww.
That's a lie.
Aww.
Homo.
I'm thankful for the destruction of soccer, that I get to watch it unfold in real time. So, obviously, you have the big Thanksgiving Day parade. It's a tradition. Are you guys watching that this year?
Hell yeah.
Dave, you got a little too excited on that, buddy.
Well, actually, here's the thing. They decided to change it up a little bit with some of the balloons to reflect, 2022. They have to get with the times.
Really?
Like a chicken that identifies as a turkey?
Mm-hmm.
Like a liberal leaving Twitter?
Yes, they have that. I don't know how you put it on a float.
Well, I mean, you could with the arrow or something.
Yeah, there's a minor attracted Santa. It's a mass.
So it is liberal.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And this one is actually for the neighbors to the north because they want to cozy up to Canada. They have Frosty Trudeau is one of the new floats that they have. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Happy Blackface.
Nailed it.
And
there's no magic in that hat.
Just hate.
And maple syrup.
I have to go commit a hate crime. I'll be busy. This one is, I don't know why I remember all these things, but by the U.S. taxpayers, actually, we have the Ukrainian Thanksgiving dinner. That's one that they're doing. Yeah.
Very nice.
Wow, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Just stuffed.
And we all love Charlie Brown Christmas, so now they have to update it, of course, so that people don't feel left out. They have boosted Snoopy. This is one they're real, which just...
Oh, Woodstock's not even there. He died 3 weeks ago.
His blood clot is just the size of him.
Yes, it's just, you have a Woodstock-sized blood.
Right. He grew a second white, shriveled Woodstock. So let's get to this, by the way, and you can share this. Please share this. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. You can hit the Rumble button if you're watching on Rumble. I'm really looking forward to getting to some of these media stories with the missile in Poland. I just can't believe that no one is really I mean, I can. Believe that people aren't talking about it.
Come on.
But before that, important things first. Last week, tickets for the Taylor Swift, I guess it's the Eras Tour.
That's the important thing.
Yeah. It's the Eras Tour. They went on sale, and things did not go well for Ticketmaster. I guess more than 3.5 million fans signed up for like the pre-sale, and the demand crashed the site. The demand crashed the site, kind of like Rumble on election night. I'm just saying, we love you guys, but look. They've strengthened their service. No one expected that.
They got attacked too, which is crazy.
Yeah, they did. They got the DDoS attack. Yeah. It's tough. People are really gunning for.
They don't want them to succeed.
No, and it's not that I want them to fail. I want for no one else to succeed. I hate most people.
That's the same thing.
If I use your Ticketmaster, and there it is. So Taylor Swift responded on her, greatest actor of all time. That guy chews up every single bit of scenery in which he plays a part. I don't get the Daniel Day-Lewis thing.
No, I don't either.
Taylor Swift responded on Instagram saying,
Bill the Butcher.
It's really difficult for me to trust an outside entity with these relationships and loyalties, and excruciating for me to just watch mistakes happen with no recourse.
I mean, seriously, now you draw the line on this?
She never cared before.
So let me just get this straight.
Excruciating to see the millions crashing the site.
Yes.
I can't believe all of my fans went to buy tickets.
Yes.
like that's what you want to happen. You don't want it to crash the site. You want people to be able to buy tickets and everything else. And I know people are pissed off about it, and they're saying, oh, Ticketmaster is bad. That would be reasonable. But Ticketmaster has a monopoly and now needs to be broken up because the ticket sales were too popular and crashed the site.
Exactly.
Are you serious?
It's like the virtue signaling with soccer. It's all about the selfish motive.
I don't get the connection.
Taylor Swift could go create her own Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And by the way, hey, just a heads up, I hope Ticketmaster doesn't do it to us, because you can still go get your tickets at loudwithcredit.com/tour for our remaining Baltimore December 3rd.
Right.
Go crash that site, baby.
I think that's the only place with any tickets left.
Or crash it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's unbelievable.
Feel free.
Are you use Ticketmaster for what's your upcoming show?
I got Munhall, Pennsylvania this Saturday.
Is
at
it
the
Ticketmaster,
Carnegie
though?
Hall. It might be.
Oh, boy.
Carnegie Munhall, PA. It could be. Yeah, I think that is Ticketmaster, actually.
It's just going to look like that scene with the Pittsburgh Steelers game with Bane.
I just don't.
Oh, no.
What a lovely voice! Oh, funny! So,
Taylor Swift is good.
Taylor Swift looks better with meat on her bones.
Oh.
So she's not the only one who's mad.
Sad. Poor boyfriend keeps leaving her.
Oh, better write a song about it rather than making better romantic decisions.
Can't keep a man.
Yes, please tell us about how John Mayer wronged you.
Great ass!
So Taylor Swift isn't the only one who's mad. Now Amy Klobuchar, because she needs to be heard somehow, raised. She's like the little chick who's like, and the mom's just like, you don't get a worm.
No.
So she raised her own concerns about Ticketmaster. This is Amy Klobuchar, for those of you who forgot her face, name, and relevancy.
In 2010, Live Nation and Ticketmaster were allowed to merge. The combined company now has 70%
12
of tickets.
years ago.
So in truth, there's no other choice. And that's what's going on. There is a monopoly.
She was in office
They
then,
also
right?
have quickly and quietly bought so many venues and arenas, so it is a vertical integration. That's why we are pushing the Justice Department to look at this and to look back at that consent decree, of which they have power over that consent decree.
That is the most boring human being alive.
Gerard Depardieu.
Yes. Amy Klobuchar, I mean, she is aggressively Like she is mission oriented toward mediocrity. Amy Klobuchar is the Olive Garden of people.
No one serves up mediocrity like Senator Amy Klobuchar. With her asexual haircut and face pulled tighter than a snare drum, she has all the warmth of a boarding school nun with none of the moral conviction. When she's not throwing staplers at interns or eating salad with a comb, Amy inspires no particularly strong feeling one way or another. In the normal private sector, Senator Klobuchar would probably be fired for sneaking airplane shots of vodka during her shift at Target. Instead, she's a millionaire on the public servant's salary and will continue to be until 50 years after she's dead. Why? Because the U.S. Senate. When you're here, you're mediocrity.
She's so tone-deaf, bitch will run that as a campaign ad.
She's like, I love Olive Garden.
Oh, that's nice, the commercial they made.
Nice.
And spot on.
And my favorite dinner spot.
I'm actually sneaking airplane shots to Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I'm going to ruin everyone's time.
I have a flask. Let's move on to this. So I don't know if you know this. You should know this. Mm-hmm. But remember that story that we heard about, and this was from the AP, keep in mind. And this is why this matters. AP is the newswire that all other mainstream news sources use. They use them during election night a lot of the time. AP.
Sometimes before elections, AP actually sends out results.
Yes, for Arizona in 2020. I think I have a Joe Louis fuzz on my face. It's just been bothering me all day. So we all heard this story. It came from AP, the most legitimate news source. As far as this industry, they consider AP kind of the gold standard. That's where we all got the story that Russia had struck Poland with some missiles. And in case you forgot, now, first off, the story is bullcrap to begin with. Right. Spoiler alert. But in case you've forgotten, this is how the media ran with that story last week.
U.S. intelligence says missiles have crossed into NATO member Poland, killing 2 civilians. President Biden has spoken on the phone with Poland's president about the situation. Biden offered full U.S. support in Poland's investigation. Ukraine's President Zelensky said this is a, quote, very significant escalation of the war and that action is needed.
It's important that that's a Zelensky quote.
We'll come back to that. Official says that Russian missiles have crossed the border into Poland, which is a NATO member, killing 2 people. And of course, NATO membership confers protection for any nation. It means that an attack on one member of NATO is an attack on all of them.
This is the first time something like this has happened. This triggers all sorts of questions about what the reaction could be from NATO. I think we all know now about that Article 5 of NATO, that any attack on an ally of the United States, of a NATO member, would trigger some kind of response from NATO.
The AP, citing a senior U.S. intelligence official, has confirmed that a Russian missile or missiles crossed into Poland in a border town.
I'm glad they put the stock ticker up.
There are reports that some people near a grain elevator were killed.
Just so you know how much you're losing during this.
AP citing a U.S. intelligence official.
There you go. AP citing a U.S. intelligence official. We'll get to the level of vetting that had taken place. Remember they just said, well, Zelensky said this is a serious level of escalation. Keep in mind, all of that rhetoric, that can set off World War III.
Easily.
Mm-hmm. Easily. Mm. Or certainly an international conflict. Sure. Maybe not on the scale of World War III. I don't want to be hyperbolic here.
Right.
Here's the real kicker. The missile, if you don't know, was actually fired by Ukraine. So now we have this from CNN, and all references are, of course, available at louderwithcreditor.com. Polish President Duda told a press conference that there was a, quote, high chance it was an air defense missile from the Ukrainian side and likely had fallen in Poland in an accident while intercepting incoming Russian missiles. There's no indication that this was an intentional attack on Poland. Most likely, it was a Russian-made S-300 rocket. So Ukraine fired, Russian-made. Comment below. Did you know about this? Did you know that it was false? Because I want to get to some key points of information. Okay, so the AP fired this reporter, James Laporta.
Just now?
Yeah. They issued an editor's note after the fact that corrected the story.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because people read those.
Now, keep in mind, though, they're firing him. Okay. But Laporta just cited an anonymous source that it belonged to Russia. And then the media said this is coming from AP, who's they're citing American intelligence agencies. There was no vetting taking place. This was by design. They easily could have made a couple of phone calls. They decided not to. And of course, this made very few headlines. Now, this is what matters. It's not just the lie proactively that takes place, but also the lies by omission. In this case, we have both. We have a lie. Let's call it misreporting. I would tend to bet a little of column A, a little of column B. In other words, it is your job, your responsibility to try and be correct if you're breaking something of this magnitude. It's not like you were reporting on, Taylor Swift's Ticketmaster story.
That's true.
I feel like everything deep throatish these days, though, is a bit fake.
Well,
Looks like it's some guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
It's some guy, but he's with U.S. intelligence officials. So here's what's so pernicious about this is November 15th, right when the story came out, this story trended #1 on Twitter from 1:40 p.m. to 7:40 p.m. And it was within the top 10 for 10 hours. So for close to 7 hours, it was the #1 trend. And you can go and check out the tweets. Oh, this is what's happening. Time to step in. Time to spend hundreds of billions, probably trillions of dollars. Time to go in and defend a NATO ally, right? And we even had people in this administration, if you look at these tweets coming out from people who were very official, none of them vetted anything. Also, you had Poland, Russia, Ukraine. They were also in the top 5 trends. All of social media was dominated by this story. Now, we contrast that with the firing, the retraction, the editor's note of Laporta's firing. It didn't trend once since it was announced.
It's odd.
So think about this for a second. Think about the kind of effect that has in public perception. Guarantee you that people who don't watch the show, guarantee you that people who do not proactively attempt to educate themselves still believe it happened. Still believe it happened. And of course, they'll use it to try and condemn Trump. Whoa, Trump wouldn't have defended what are you, a Putin puppet? Hold on a second. Were we all Putin puppets for saying, well, let's just wait for some more information? So after almost firing off World War III, no consequences for AP, and according to their own website, it says more than half of the world's population sees AP journalism every day. And this is something I ask that you hit the like button because the YouTube algorithm says that we're dead. Look, we work in this industry. We know this.
Yeah.
Newswires like AP and Reuters, these are considered the gold standard. This is, NPR gets it. If you listen to the NPR morning news update, or they do it, I think, on maybe on the top of the hour, bottom of the hour, they're constantly citing AP. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, they're constantly citing AP. If AP says this is a story, they assume that it's legitimate. Reuters is another good example. And this is not one of the first, this is not the first time this has happened. I mean, AP has a long line of screw-ups. You can go back, you can go check out our references, but Reuters is another one.
Yeah.
Reuters is another one that a lot of people trust. And if you don't
remember, I didn't even know about this one, too.
You didn't know about this one?
The specific one you're going to talk about next. I didn't know about that.
Well, this is the beauty of having been around for so long. I've been here on YouTube since, 2008 doing political. I remember this story. Reuters deliberately edited out knives and a bloodied Israeli soldier from photos of, this was a flotilla. It was a ship trying to reach Gaza. So you can see the cropped version and the uncropped version. Now, that is a lie. That's deliberately saying, let's get rid of the knife. Let's get rid of, let's make sure that there's at best an equivalency. At worst, we get to vilify the Israelis when really you're looking at someone with a bloody knife here. AP, we have some other examples. 2017, AP had to issue a retraction, a story that said 17 U.S. intelligence agencies agreed Russia interfered to help Trump get elected.
Remember that one. But, we're talking about these
Still
agencies.
running on that one.
Well, it's this, pointing to an expert or this elite class or a fact checker, or somebody who's going to be the arbiter of truth and saying, well, they're always going to be right. Well, that's never how it works. You've set this system up and you've lied to people. Here's my problem with this beyond that. That's bad enough. People are trusting in AP and trusting in news organizations. You know who knew? Zelensky.
Yes.
Zelensky knew from the very beginning, or at least from very close to the beginning, and thought, you know what, here's an opportunity for me to get more support. I will lie and say, oh, yeah, Russian missile, I can't believe it. Never mind the fact that our intercepting missile didn't do the only job that it has, is intercept another missile.
It's pretty bad interception.
Went in 50 miles into Poland. It's not a mundane detail.
No, it's not a mundane detail, Michael.
Much, right? Goes into Poland, kills 2 people. Potentially could set off World War III, because the headlines weren't just Ukraine, Russia, missile, Poland dead. It wasn't that. It was World War III.
It was the U.S. needs to step in and help a NATO ally.
Right? It could be, you're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of casualties if something like that actually does get set off. And Zelensky uses it for personal gain to say, well, yeah, the Russians are bad. They just attacked a NATO country. Shouldn't you guys do something?
Remember, I've said it's assholes fighting assholes as far as the leadership of Russia, as far as the leadership of Ukraine. Just to be clear, there are good people in Russia and there are good people in Ukraine. I'm not taking a side as far as the Russian people or Ukrainian people, but the leadership are corrupt on all sides. And like you said, Zelensky, the only reason that he felt so comfortable doing that when he knew better was because, well, he's just going to have another meeting with Sean Penn. He knew that the media was going to carry his water. Hey, where's Code Pink? Where are the people who are calling Bush a war hawk? And by the way, I understand where you line up as far as the foreign intervention from George W. Bush. I'm not disagreeing with you. But where are all of these people who made it their raison d'etre? And now, Zelensky, nothing? Nothing. You either have to believe that he is so incompetent that he didn't check the label of the missiles, so that, in which case he cannot be a leader of any kind of a country. This is an actor. This is a failed comedian who played a piano with his dong. That's his big bit. Or
I'm right here.
Or he's dishonest. Either he's incompetent or he is dishonest, and the media has that same decision to make. We already know that Zelensky was being dishonest. We already know that this reporter at AP was being dishonest. The rest of the media reporting from it, well, okay, you know what? Let's just say you were ignorant, but now you need to do better. Why? Because this affects global policy. This affects, and by the way, affecting global policy, as far as American interventionism, let's be clear. It's at your cost and a net benefit to the rest of the world. For as much as everyone bitches about the United States, and you have the greatest military, well, were people saying, oh my gosh, a missile went into Poland. Hey, Sweden, time to step up? No, we were looking at hundreds of billions of dollars and sending in soldiers from the United States.
Yeah.
So it's at your cost while you're dealing with the horrible economic downturn, worst economic downturn really in modern American history, say for maybe 2008. Even then it's arguable depending on which metrics you want to use. But as you are living, and many of you struggling, hand to mouth, you do have people in positions of power who have a vested interest, again, at worst, a vested interest in global conflict because they benefit. That's really at best. And by the way, this also ties into what we're talking about election meddling. No, not saying that the ghost of Chavez rigged Dominion voting machines, but what happens with the media bias is enough. This is what people need to be focusing on. This is why Republicans who are spineless, who did nothing about Section 230, who know what has been happening with, look at Jen Psaki right now. She's about to be basically brought before a court because of the misinformation guidance that came from this administration to big tech, which of course resulted in censorship. They affect elections, and I think the most important example, we have this right now, which could have created World War III, but as far as domestically, CBS News, the same place that we just showed you reporting from AP, they just announced, just finally admitted, the Hunter Biden laptop, the thing that we also said was Russian disinformation, right, like AP said, turns out it's true.
And as Republicans take control of the House, Hunter Biden, the president's son, will be a target for investigations. And that means data from a laptop reported to belong to Biden could be crucial to the investigatory process. CBS News has
it could be.
Nothing like being 2 years late to the party.
Not through a third party or political operative, but directly from the source who told us they provided it to the FBI under subpoena. And we commissioned an independent forensic review to determine its authenticity.
You're confident based on your analysis this is Hunter Biden's data
what
and
the
that
hell
it's
is
real?
This?
Yes.
We commissioned an independent forensic review. This was the review.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his dick with M&Ms on it.
Yeah. Seen it
this
many
is
times.
Star Trek speed dating.
Yes.
I feel like the guy's sitting there waiting for the question, and she says, "Is it real?" And he's like,
"What the?"
Yeah, of course it's real.
Yes.
Everybody knew that. You're doing a 6-minute puff piece on. I'm not kidding. They go on for 6 minutes on the data being real.
I told you a year and a half. It just cuts.
Yeah. Now. Don't start yelling. This is nobody's fault. Yes, it is.
It's your fault. It is 100% your fault.
No
you
kidding.
Let this go on.
Yes. This is something that we knew back in, and this is what they do. Rudy Giuliani, they say, oh, crazy. And you know what? He says some nutty things. That doesn't mean that he's always wrong. They try and say, oh, this show, look, they're far right wing. Sure, it's an entertainment show, but we make our references publicly available. We knew that this was true back in October 2020 when Rudy Giuliani shocked us by showing the actual laptop and also I'll explain some context afterwards. No, I'll just say it now. I'll front load this a little bit. Marley was dead to begin with. The FBI raided Giuliani's house and took everything except the laptop that you're about to see, which has now been confirmed. This is our show, October 2020. Have you seen the pictures?
This guy.
Have you seen the pictures of him with the crack pipe?
You're darn right I have.
Oh, wow. Does he at least look like cool?
Unfortunately, I can't show them to you right now, but this is the hard drive they're on.
Oh,
right
my
there.
gosh. Oh, my word.
We're like, what? What?
Yeah, and afterwards, I remember I went to the producers. I said, like, guys, did you confirm that that's the real laptop? I'm like, he can't just do that on air if it's not the real laptop. They're like, no, it's the real laptop.
Yeah.
And now we know it's the real laptop 2 years later.
I remember that because it was the only time Rudy Giuliani ever showed Hunter Biden's laptop to us.
Right.
October 15th, 2020. If I remember correctly, that is prior to Election Day. We had people saying, I have this laptop, I have this information. Come verify it, baby.
Yes.
We can do the CBS thing, but we can do it before the election.
And the
not 2 years
FBI
after.
decided to raid his house and go through the sugar cabinets.
Yeah.
Like, what about this? What about this laptop? Nothing for me today, thanks. No, what about this laptop? You see Hunter Biden's cock all over the laptop, and also the Ukrainian deals and the corruption. But mostly, there's so many pictures of cock, so we don't want it.
It's like World War Z. They were going around a sick laptop, and
yes, exactly.
They're here. They're taking the plastic off my furniture.
Right.
It's weird. The laptop's right here.
Careful with that. Careful with those countertops. The real Formica. Take note, by the way, of the
Italian marble.
The ridiculous wordiness in the CBS title to try and obfuscate this. It says,
"Oh yeah,
this is the header." Copy of what's believed to be Hunter Biden's laptop data turned over by repair shop to FBI showed no tampering, analysis says. Let's look at that. This is what it should say. Hunter Biden's laptop scandal verified.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, anybody on our team writes a title like that, and we politely show them the door.
Yes, absolutely. It says copy. So copy of what's believed to be, again, it's not relevant.
No.
It doesn't matter that's a copy, is believed to be Hunter Biden's laptop. Hold on. A copy is believed to be, but you just admitted that, in fact, it is 100% verified. And by the way, we actually do have exclusive BTS footage from the CBS editorial board revealing, you were asking us, how they came to this title.
All right, we got to find a way so nobody fucking sees this. I got it!
It's one of those no think tanks.
Yes.
They don't believe in brevity.
And this would matter, by the way. No, wait. This does matter. Sorry, not this would matter. This matters. The reason that this matters, I guess I should say this wouldn't matter if it didn't affect the outcome of the election. It's worse than that. Not only did they lie about it, there was a clinical level of gaslighting where they tried to accuse you and the then sitting president of making up crazy conspiracy theories when they talked about this issue, and of course understood the validity of it. Remember, I think we have a clip here. This is CBS's, I always forget her name. Oh, Leslie Stahl interviewing then President Donald Trump.
And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking...
He's
of course
not.
he is,
No.
Leslie.
Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
So-
the biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my
Well,
campaign,
there's no
Leslie.
real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's
No.
all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't
No,
verify.
you won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally
that.
verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that.
Okay.
And you're out
So
there.
why don't you get back to your interview and let's go?
Forget him for a minute.
No, but you
You're
start with
president.
me.
You're president. And
Excuse me, Leslie, you started with me.
Excuse me.
Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
Are you?
That's no way to talk. There's no way to talk.
Leslie, one second.
At this point,
He's
one
right.
of our producers interrupted to advise about the time remaining in the interview.
I think we have enough of an interview here, Hope. Okay, that's enough. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go meet for 2 seconds, okay? Thanks. I'll see you in a little while. Thanks.
Be careful.
Oh, that's
threatening.
Yeah. Be careful. How about you osteoporosis-ridden bitch? Bye. She's going to be at a commercial with Sally Field. No, there's no way. No, then 2 years later, well, turns out there was a way.
Yeah, we just didn't want to do it.
We were both hot in 1974.
Yes.
And that was it.
And even that's a stretch. Now, remember, this all started on October 14th, 2020. And we have all the references available at louderwithcrowder.com. It was a New York Post article. Mm-hmm. And then the Hunter Biden laptop was showed on this program for the first time.
Like a week later.
Yeah, like a week later. Now, the story from the New York Post about the laptop, which we now know is 100% true, according to people who really, really don't want it to be true. The story was throttled by Facebook, and it was completely blocked by Twitter on the run-up to the 2020 election, which, by the way, changed the election according to Biden voters themselves when polled. We'll get to that in a second. This is, if only this story, not to mention the throttling of everything else, not to mention the things like suspending the biggest conservative stream that's ever existed, the biggest election stream that's existed right before you go into midterms or right before you go into general elections. There are a bunch of other sort of satellite issues that orbit, but this alone was enough to affect the outcome of the election, even assuming that everything else ran absolutely swimmingly. So don't even forget. Oh, that's right. We have a clip. I forgot. We have this clip. Joe Biden, right? He went on record in his debate with Donald Trump October 20th. And again, it's Zelensky saying, this is what you... I really hope that I'm communicating this effectively, and please comment below if I am. The same issue with Zelensky, where he knows better. Zelensky knew better, and he went out and said that it was a Russian missile anyway into Poland. Why? Because he felt comfortable doing it. He didn't fear any kind of accountability or retribution from the media. Former Vice President Joe Biden, going into this debate with Donald Trump on October 20th, knew better. He knew that the deals that were discussed in the laptop were real, and he knew that the laptop was real. Why did he deny it? Because he didn't fear any accountability from the media. Zelensky, Joe Biden, they're two sides of the same coin. Here he is, October 20th, denying in a debate to Donald Trump that it exists.
Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody.
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
From hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
because you lied about him being a racist?
Please,
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
That's exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is where he's going.
So first off, knowing what you know now, that should terrify you. And second, if you have kids, they should leave the room. Okay, I'm going to give you a countdown: 5, 4. Just because we're discussing age propriety, it's not a trigger warning here. Defund the fucking FBI and CIA
tomorrow
and DOJ.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, look, maybe they didn't know better. At best, it's cowardice where they didn't come out and say, "Hold on, no, that's wrong." At worst, he was citing them, and many of them came out and said, "Yeah, Russian disinformation." It's not whether you have a country that has laws. Do they apply it equally? They picked sides during a campaign. Now, do you believe that they didn't know better? Do you believe that they didn't know better? And if they didn't know better, was that because they actively didn't try, like raiding Rudy Giuliani's home and walking around the laptop? Think about that for a second. When people say it's an extremist point of view to say we need to dismantle our intelligence agencies, that's why. Isn't it their job to protect the American people? Like, I don't know, maybe someone who's beholden to corrupt oligarchs in foreign nations running for national office? If you don't do your job there, what purpose do you serve? Keep in mind, that debate was heard around the world. The media carried the water. You couldn't find the story on Twitter. You couldn't find the story on Facebook. You were accused of being some kind of conspiracy theorist. And now, knowing what we know, and if people knew better, according to polling, 17% of Biden voters would have completely changed their vote or not voted at all if they had even known about the laptop.
Wow.
Which also means that a lot of Biden voters weren't tuning into that debate because they didn't even know about it. Yeah. That's worse than just thinking it's false because that's what Biden said. They didn't even know about it. What if they actually knew that the Biden laptop was real and that former Vice President Biden lied about it. Hey, you know what? How about a committee there? How about a hearing there? How about you put Joe Biden under oath and ask him about that? Because if he were to say that with the kind of accountability that Donald Trump consistently would have with his subpoenas, that is perjury. And you could argue that kind of perjury, treason.
Yeah, absolutely. How about the 5 former heads of the CIA coming forward and saying, hey, under oath, why did you think that was Russian disinformation? Why did you make that statement to the president or the person, former vice president, running for president at the time? Why did you do that? By the way, notice what Joe Biden said in that debate. I don't know that I picked up on this before. Nobody believes it. 5 former heads of the CIA. When he said it's Russia, Russia, Russia again, it's all problem, that's what they're telling me.
Right.
He didn't deny it himself.
Right.
He deflected each time to, no, these people say that. These people say that. That's nobody believes that.
Yeah. Lifetime appointments who don't have to be elected.
Yeah.
Heads of intelligence agencies.
It's not real would have been the defense. It's completely made up. Donald Trump would have been the defense.
But how many times has he had to pick up his son on a crack bender at his niece's hut? That's the point. So, of course, he knew that it was true, and he tried to sidestep it, and the media allowed him to do so. So, according to the polls, 17% of Biden voters would have switched their vote. Just this one story. Guess what that would have done? Donald Trump would have won Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Michigan, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Minnesota. If that 17%
Landslide.
switched, let's say we're right on half
Michigan
of those.
had another cooler.
Right. Yeah, exactly. real red wagon.
Yes.
We have to make sure we get it right.
Yeah.
Because
Real red wagon.
YouTube will hold us to a standard that they don't hold the former vice president to.
That's a landslide. That is a landslide electoral college victory. It's not even close.
No, it's not
we go
even
to
close.
bed and we know who the president is, and it doesn't change overnight.
So election fraud, or what I would just say is when you're talking about mail-in voting issues, right, you're not allowed to say election fraud unless you're a Democrat on YouTube, but certainly election issues as far as security, if you're talking about mail-in voting, if you're talking about curing of ballots, if you're talking about making sure, or voter ID, right? We should be able to discuss this on YouTube. We should be able to discuss this everywhere. If your proposal is we need voter ID because we need more safe and more secure elections, and now you're saying they're the safest and most secure ever, well, we want more safer and more safest and more securest. But
well, I'd like to hear under oath why you walked around a computer.
Right.
Yeah. I just want to put that out there. Like, I just want to know what the reason was. Was that orders from above? Why did you ignore that?
Of course.
Yep.
And if you're looking for anything that would fit the description.
I mean, it's the first thing you would go for in any investigation would be the person's computer.
Yes.
Period. That's the first thing you ask for. You don't go through his pantry.
Yeah.
No.
You know, what's in your computer?
The moderator in that debate, by the way, yes, let's go back to you being a racist, Mr. President,
Yes.
because we've said it even though we have clips of you saying the opposite of that, and black people really love you.
So 17% would have changed their vote if they'd even known about the Hunter Biden laptop story.
Yeah.
What do they mean known? Well, when you consider that a majority of Americans get at least some portion, if not most of their news from social media outlets, this is why they didn't know. Twitter completely locked out the New York Post account until they completely deleted the tweets about the laptop, to be clear. And then, by the way, Twitter backed off and they unlocked the Post Twitter account. The account itself. And last we checked, I guess you can see now the original tweet 2 years too late, because remember what they did was they originally unlocked the account only though if the New York Post deleted the initial tweets. Now, what happens there?
That's the repost. Hold on. That is the repost. That's not
Is that the repost?
original. Look at pull that overlay back
Yeah, I
up
think
and
that's
look at
a
the
repost,
counts.
yeah.
Look at the counts on that. 3,000.
Yeah,
6,000?
I believe that's probably the
no.
repost.
Tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands potentially.
Yeah,
You'd
Mission
never get that
Control,
back.
can we make sure we figure that? I can't see the overlay here, but I think that's probably
They were allowed to
right.
repost it.
October 14th, 2020 is the date.
I know, but that's not the original counts on what that tweet
yeah, I
was
bet
going
you it
around
was.
the world like crazy.
Yeah.
That might be all they have, though. They could have been throttled.
Well, they weren't. They had to delete the original ones.
I know
This
that.
is what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, they did, yeah.
Is then Twitter said, hey, delete the original ones and we'll let you back on. And now you can, maybe get the story out so we can shadow ban it. Now, knowing what you know, Gerald, having worked in this industry for a very long time, do you get all of those retweets back?
No.
Do you get all of those likes back? Hey, you ever heard of an algorithm? You ever heard of an algorithm? Is it a stretch for you to believe that Twitter's algorithm favors likes and retweets. That makes sure that it's seen. That's why the algorithm exists. You don't get it back if they lock your account, and you lose all of the momentum on the original post.
Well, that's
one
why it's not
post
to begin with.
Yes, one post with 10,000 likes and retweets is worth far more than 2 posts with 5,000 each. It's an exponential effect. It's a force multiplier. You don't get it back, and that's why.
Well, and they gave them time to come out and say, no, this is completely false. What they did is they took it down. You can't decide for yourself. You can't look at the report for yourself. But what you did have was the president coming out, or the vice president running for president at the time, come out and say it. You had 5 former heads of the CIA come out and say it. You have people like Stahl saying, oh, you can't verify any of that information. Now you can repost your fake story. Do you see that?
Yeah.
All they have to do is pause it long enough to get past the news cycle and discredit it, and then you can say whatever you want to say because nobody will believe you now.
Yeah, and so just when I say that we are not having free and fair elections, and I'm willing to stake my claim on this, YouTube, if you're upset, I am saying that we are not having free and fair elections if you have 3 or 4 companies colluding to remove a key piece of information that, according to the voters, would have changed their vote. That is not a free, safe, and secure election. That is not. And then come out, especially if you come out 2 years later and verify what we already knew to be true. I'm not talking about voter fraud. I'm not talking about Joe Lewis voting in the city of Detroit. I am saying that I do not believe we have a secure election system if people who run a handful of companies can be more powerful than governments and link arms with governments, which remains to be seen a little bit more. What we already know, again, they'll verify it with Jen Psaki and this administration working directly with those on social media. That is not a constitutional republic if Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, Google, Alphabet, and a couple of other companies can determine public opinion simply by ghosting one of the most important stories in the election cycle according to the voters themselves. And then, of course, they started walking it back once they had done the damage and said, well, maybe we were wrong about that. Let's go through the list. You have, back then, he was still, running some stuff before the 4chan autist took over. Jack Dorsey on the story.
We recognize it as a mistake that we made, both in terms of the intention of the policy and also the enforcement action of not allowing people to share it publicly or privately. We made a quick interpretation using no other evidence that the materials in the article were obtained through hacking, and according to our policy, we blocked them from being spread. Upon further consideration, we admitted this action was wrong and corrected it within 24 hours.
Okay, let me ask you this. What's the further consideration? At that point, the intelligence agencies had not come out and confirmed it, which they have now after the election. At that point, CBS hadn't confirmed it, which they now have after the election had taken place. And by the way, also conveniently, even after midterms, because it might have played a role again.
Yeah.
Well, after what consideration? After what changed? What was your flash of genius moment, Jack Dorsey? Oh, you realize you might actually be caught. And then, of course, we have another, let's call them, they're basically oligarchs. They're basically big tech oligarchs is what these people are. We have Zuckerberg then walking it back.
There was a lot of attention on Twitter during the election because of the Hunter Biden laptop story. The New York Post.
Yeah, we had that too.
Yeah, so you guys censored that as well?
So we took a different path than Twitter. Basically the background here is the FBI, I think, basically came to us. Some folks on our team.
Make sure to blink to appear human.
Just so you know, you should be on high alert. We thought that there was a lot of Russian propaganda in the 2016 election. We have it on notice that basically there's about to be some kind of
questioning the results of the 2016 election there.
That's similar to that. So just be vigilant. For I think it was 5 or 7 days when it was basically being determined whether it was false, the distribution on Facebook was decreased, but people were still allowed to share it. So you could still share it, you could still consume it.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less.
Shadow banning.
So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely.
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
Yeah, I would say it's meaningful. By the way, here's something important that you note right there. Notice that we believed that there was Russian interference in 2016. So what they did was question the legitimacy of the 2016 election in order to quash any questioning of the 2020 election. Isn't that brilliant? We question the legitimacy, we all have, many refuse to concede that election, of 2016. So because of that, we've put safeguards into place, including not allowing you to question 2020. Isn't that absolutely brilliant? When he's talking about shadow banning, we can tell you that we experience this all the time on Facebook. For example, right now, Loud Earth Crider link, the references to this very show, you can go and check them out. On our Facebook page, on our own Facebook page, they reach very few people. We've tested it. Other big Facebook pages post the exact same links to our website, and they will get 40 times the reach.
Yeah.
Because of something baked into the code on our page. And hey, look, that's just us. I get it. But when you're talking about presidents, you're about to say something.
I think we just discovered something on air. I think our researchers are right, and I am right as well. The research team is right. That's the original tweet.
Okay.
But I'm right in that when Twitter put it back up, they made them start from scratch.
They made the original tweet start from scratch?
So now if you look back...
Oh, really? So they took off all the... Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, look at the numbers.
No, you're right. Yeah,
thing,
it's very
So
small.
If I go back and go, well, hey, they wouldn't let them put the tweet up. They can put it. Yeah, they did. It's right here.
Yeah.
They only had several thousand likes and retweets.
Yeah. And 10, 20 years from now, we'll have history teachers saying,
exactly.
Some people thought this should have affected the election, but it's predicated on, a tweet that went up that only had a few hundred likes. It wouldn't have made a difference anywhere. Right. They're not going to teach you about the 17% of Biden voters who would have changed their vote. Let me tell you this.
Well, that's important, though, from even what Zuckerberg said.
Right.
When he said, look, you can share it just not with as many people. It's like, well, that's the exact problem is 17% of Biden voters didn't get information.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're admitting to it right now.
Information that compromises our national security.
100%. It's insane for him, but he uses all this language as if you're not manipulating anybody.
Right.
You're not. It's completely transparent what you're doing.
Well, unfortunately, that's because you're an intelligent individual. It does work. It manipulates some people.
It does. It manipulated a lot of people. Well, did it or did they just not see it really? It's like they just hid it completely.
That's the problem. It's a lie by omission that you never get back.
Right.
You never can know the lie of which you've never been made aware. And I will say this, you know what? Hit the like button if you agree with me. I'm going to make a statement that I mean without a hint of hyperbole. I absolutely believe that these big tech companies are the single greatest threat to the free world that exists today. Let me make the case for you just based on what we've discussed today. Because of big tech, because of really a handful of companies, right? You've got Google Alphabet, which is YouTube and Google, okay. Then you've got Facebook, which is Facebook, Instagram, Meta, okay. Then you've got Twitter, and you could probably toss in Apple and Amazon into that mix. All right. Let's just go through what we discussed today. Big tech trended for 10 hours a false story with no vetting about a Russian missile going into Poland. In other words, they allowed to trend at best imprudently, at worst in a way that was deliberately subversive, the kind of story that could set off World War III. And then they decided to proactively eliminate a story that by all metrics and data we have available to us would have not maybe 100% changed the outcome of the election in 2020. I repeat myself, big tech and really 3 or 4 companies are the single greatest threat to Western civilization and the free world today. So when you say, what is it that we can do? Hey, well, this is what we can do. And we don't know how long we'll be here. So it's a live show Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Nothing would make me happier than you joining up at Mug Club, heading over to Rumble. If we're not here, go and watch them there because we have the word of people who run that company that they are not going to engage in this kind of censoring. And we're also going to do an additional segment on Charles Barkley because we need to clear the palate a little bit. It's been a little bit intense. Biggest threat to democracy. Biggest threat to I don't want to say democracy, freedom. Because as we saw with the Iranian parliament, as you see with a lot of or as you even see with Canada, democracy can also just mean voting to take away people's freedoms. Like their jobs, their livelihoods, freeze their bank accounts if some truckers decide to protest out there in Canada because they don't want to get an mRNA injection. Yeah, that's democracy. No. Big tech is the single biggest threat to what matters more than just democracy, freedom. Freedom. It's a constitutional republic if you can keep it. Please hit the like button, share, comment below if you agree with that. People talk about Democrats, Republicans. I do think that big tech is the biggest threat. That's why we keep harping on it. Before we go here to Mug Club, we actually have some behind-the-scenes footage. For some of you who don't know, people here put in some serious overtime hours and burn the midnight oil. And often these big sketches only get used once. So I think we have some behind the scenes of Edward Mug Club hands, which was far too much time for silliness.
Watch this and more at our other channel, Crowder Bits.